Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's video. This week we're going to talk all about goal setting, but with a twist. We're going to actually talk about the major myths around goal setting that can really impact your life. These myths have really impacted my life, and I see them impacting others' lives all the time. That's why it's so important that we debunk some of these myths today so that we can really help you think about how you want to live your life and ensure that these myths aren't getting in the way of your thinking. It's so important to debunk these myths no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you are still in college or you've already graduated or you've already been at your job for a while, or even if you've been at your job for 10 years or 15 years. Now is the perfect time to really think about this still because of how much change there is happening in the world. The first myth that I want to debunk is the concept that you have to figure out what you want to be when you grow up, when you're very little, and stick to that path in order to become a master at anything or make anything of yourself. You probably remember when your teachers asked you when you were in even elementary school, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they had parents come in and tell you about their jobs, and you always had to aspire to be something and pick something and get on that path. Well, I just remember the options were really finite. They were, do you want to be a fireman or woman? Do you want to be an artist, a accountant, a doctor, or a lawyer? Those were the very typical ones. And it just felt very finite in terms of the options, and you had to really fit yourself inside a box, and that's all that you could become. Also, the options were really either academic or vocational. In fact, in high school, we had the choice to either continue with regular public high school or go to the vocational school, and some students did do that. They went there to learn how to become a plumber or an electrician or learn how to work on cars, and it just felt like the choices were really limited. Now today, in this age of digital, social media, and free information, you're really seeing people make a lot more of themselves than those typical paths that we heard about even just 10, 20 years ago. You're seeing people start beauty channels, or, if they're musicians, they've built a whole following on their own on Spotify or iTunes. Or you're seeing artists who are creating beautiful works and on Periscope or Instagram and being able to really create a living doing their passion because of all of the opportunities that we have now that weren't even present just a few decades ago. So I think myth number one is definitely debunked with just all of the thousands and thousands of people out there who are doing what they love and things that were never traditional jobs, that were never one of the options you got to choose in elementary school, and really living their life to the fullest. Myth number two is one that I lived by for the first whole half of my life, which is if you get good grades, you work hard, you do well in school, and you get a job, you'll just live happily ever after. And I feel like that it was really like fairy tale endings where it's like happily ever after and you never hear about what happens afterwards. And I feel like the journey definitely continues, if not, just starts when you get that first job out of college. That's when you actually get to experience what the working world is like and get to really figure out what you want to do. So I actually thought that I had done a lot of introspection and a lot of thinking throughout college when I had taken on different internships. I was a neuroscience major. I did a lot of neuroscience research internships, and I figured out that it wasn't really for me. Like, living in the lab and being a lab rat wasn't my cup of tea. I just wanted to be more creative. I wanted to leverage my other interests in art and writing. And so I really had to do a lot of exploration to figure out what's another vocation, because I had been, for 15 years on that path trying to be a doctor, and myth number one had really bamboozled me, and I felt kind of like I had to reinvent my whole life. And so that's what I did. So when I found my first job, I actually had done a huge pivot. I got into a marketing program for a Fortune 50 tech company, and I thought I had made it. I was like, my life is set. I've gotten my happy ending. So I can personally tell you that I've debunked this myth, because getting that job after you've worked so hard your whole life isn't the happy ending. That's actually where the journey really begins. In fact, it's been about almost a decade since I got that first job, and I'm still learning day by day what makes me passionate, what drives my motivation, and what I really want to do with my life. And that's why I started this channel, was to really start doing things that I've always wanted to do and get to see what comes of it. And the third myth that I'd like to debunk is that if you make a certain amount by a certain age, you'll feel happy and successful. And this one really takes the cake for me because I thought that I had set a goal when I was in my 20s that if I hit six figures by the time I was 30, I would feel really accomplished and really ecstatic. And I actually hit that goal years in advance, maybe 3 or 4 years before I even turned 30. And I did not feel successful at all. And I realized the reason is that, you can have the luxury car, you can have the big house, you can have a great salary, but it doesn't make you actually feel stable because it can be really taken away at an instant. I can lose my job tomorrow, or, as we've seen with COVID, so many people lost their jobs and so many people lost what they thought was a really stable income. And that's really scary. And I think that's a myth that gives you a false sense of security sometimes, that if you hit a certain income, you'll be set again with that kind of happily ever after thinking. But I just think that that's really a myth that had gotten me on a certain track, and I thought that I was on the right track. I don't regret any of the time I spent doing that or pursuing that career, which I'm still doing, but I just feel like I need something else that's really mine. I don't want to just be renting success, because it really is renting. The second that you can't pay for the car, can't pay for the house, you really lose it all. And that is no longer what success means to me. I really feel like true success is building something for myself and having multiple income streams that no one can really just take away from me. And even if I lose one stream, I have other supplementary streams that can help. So I'll have a later video about establishing multiple income streams. So make sure you hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when that video comes out. So in summary, for myth number 3, I really do feel like setting a certain income goal while you're a certain age is great, but don't expect that feeling of stability or success to just naturally happen, especially if it's based on a salary role where you're an employee and you're really just renting that success and it's not really truly yours. Myth number 4 that I want to debunk is that as long as your job is attributing to an inspiring mission, then your job should be inspiring to you. And this is a tough one because it's controversial, right? I do think that there is something to be said about being on an inspiring mission, but it all comes back to if you're not feeling invigorated or passionate about what you're actually doing day to day, then you're really in no way, shape, or form to help others. There's that analogy where if you're on a plane, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you go help others. And that's really true here. How can you feel like you're on an inspiring mission if you don't even feel inspired by the work that you're doing? And this is a myth I really debunked when I was on that pre-med track and then my science research track. Is I felt, yes, I was, really contributing to a mission, really contributing to healthcare and trying to find new ways forward to cure cancer or to cure Parkinson's when I got into neuroscience research, but the day-to-day wasn't inspiring to me. So every day I was in the lab, I was so tired, and I wasn't cut out for trying to investigate one problem or one issue day after day after day. And thinking about going to grad school and doing that for 7 more years was really just weighing really hard on me. So I needed to find something else. But what I realized is that you can contribute value to the world in the way that you best can contribute value, and that gives you the most fulfillment. And that doesn't mean that you can't then take that value that you're contributing and the value that you're getting out of it and donate it to causes that you really believe in. Dolly Parton just donated $1 million to coronavirus vaccine research, and she has nothing to do with science, in her day-to-day and in what she's passionate about from a career standpoint. She's an amazing actress and singer, but Dolly Parton didn't all of a sudden go to grad school, wait 7 years to do all of that research and then come up with the vaccine herself, right? She just donated value from what she really thrives in and, what she has created an amazing career out of, and donated it to causes that she believes in. All right, so this brings us to the last myth that I want to debunk today, and that's myth number 5, which is you have to have it figured out in order to take the leap. I didn't have marketing figured out at all when I went from being a neuroscience undergrad to applying for a very competitive marketing program in the tech space. I also knew very little about tech at the time. So I just figured it out all along the way, really step by step. Before the interview, I really studied about what the company did and what they were looking for in these different marketing roles and what qualities you had to have in order to be a great marketer. So I really highlighted that, I was very creative, that I had really great communication skills and writing skills, and that I also had really great analytical skills from all of my work in science research, as well as all of the classes like calculus and all of the bioinformatics classes that I had taken. I really applied that to marketing and why that would make me a great marketer. So that was the first step. And then as I got the job, I did a lot of research, I followed a lot of blogs, I took a lot of courses, and that really helped me figure it out along the way. And now I'm doing the same thing here with what I'm trying to do. And it's really a journey, and it doesn't have to all happen in one day. It doesn't have to even happen in a year. You're really just figuring things out along the way and really pivoting and learning as you go. And so I will continue to update you here on my journey on YouTube, but I'm going to apply the same concept, which is that I'm not going to have it all figured out. I am experimenting and trying out different content. So follow me if you want to join me on this journey. And I also would love to hear what you thought about these myths, and if there are things that have actually impacted major life decisions, and if you're going to start thinking about how you're going to live your life a little bit differently now. Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hi, it's Lena here. Thank you so much for visiting my channel and checking out my content. If you enjoyed today's video, please comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you're updated every time that I upload a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day. Keep on thriving!